On education. How do you plan to work with the public education department and the higher education department to improve education and shift our current pattern of always being on the bottom of the list nationally?
Thank you. So I want to tell a story. I was in Deming, New Mexico, and on the campaign trail, was at a senior center talking to a variety of residents of Deming, and they're very concerned about a variety of issues, but absolutely we spent a great deal of time discussing education. And I met a woman named Gladys who pointedly asked me, what are you going to do to improve education? We are 50th. And before I could say really anything about an education plan, she said, can you just get us to 49th? And I realized in that moment that we are so frustrated because we aren't creating an environment where teachers can teach. We don't have an environment where students can learn. What we've done is we have micromanaged and disvalued our public education system. That was a purposeful effort by this administration. In my administration, we're going to work with public education. We're going to pull administrative money. We're going to put it back into the classroom. We're going to do our own assessments. That's the key to quality education. All the states around us that are doing much better utilize those techniques. And 2 of our top schools in New Mexico, one right here in Santa Fe, the New Mexico School for the Arts, are undertaking those kinds of investments. We're going to put school-based health centers in so we can provide and treat kids who have serious issues that educators are not equipped, nor do they really want to deal with those issues, even though they do, because they love and care about their students, but they're not in a position to do that. Right? They can't provide education and teaching in the classroom if they're worrying about whether their kids are hungry, homeless, or in an abusive situation. We can, in fact, create the relationships between higher education and K through 12 that can really make a difference. And we're going to start that by investing in early, universal, pre-K education in this state.
Senator Cervantes.
If you'll forgive me for a moment or two, I'm proud to recognize my daughter Isabella. She graduated last Saturday from UNM. She'll start medical school. She'll start medical school in a month. My other daughter, Alexandra, is here. She just finished her first year of law school. My niece, my brother's daughter, is here. She just graduated from law school last weekend. These are products of Las Cruces public schools in Las Cruces. These are students who came through our high schools just as I did in this state. I became an architect. I became a lawyer. I've achieved great success. Look, we have terrific schools in our state. We have terrific teachers. We have terrific administrators. I voted against Hannah Scander because she was determined to demonize teachers and educators in our state, and I fought her on that. My experience has been that we have terrific schools and terrific teachers, but what my experience is around the state is too few of our students have the same opportunities that we did. We've got to re-engage parents, and we have an achievement gap between our Hispanic communities, our Native American communities, and the rest of New Mexico. We need to make sure that my daughter's opportunity, who turned down graduate school at Yale University, who turned down graduate school at Duke University, and they did, to stay here in New Mexico, that our children here can stay in New Mexico because they love our state, because they want to be New Mexicans, because they want to be near their families. But they've got to know the opportunities are here in our state when they get those law degrees and medical degrees, and we're losing too many people out of our state. I hope you'll take the message back home. The teachers who educated our daughters did a terrific job, and they need to be commended and supported and not demonized. We need to eliminate their role as testers, and we need to eliminate the fact that they're compensated based on how their students do on testing. The attitude of this administration has been completely backwards, and we need to make sure that we go back to a way of teaching where students love going to school and where teachers love teaching and are not having to reach into their own pockets to try and fund their supplies or make their school days work at our schools. It gets back to priorities, it gets back to our budget, and it gets back to funding the government that we deserve, and we can do it. We can't do it by taking money out of our land grant permanent funds, because that's what funds our education system in New Mexico.
Mr. Apodaca.
Well, since July, we've actually had our education plan up on our website, so please go to apo18.com and take a look at it. But I'm not going to tell you, everybody wants to talk about cute stories up here. Let me tell you about a cute story. In 1975, my father restructured the state of New Mexico into cabinet positions. Guess what one position was in a cabinet position? Secretary of Education. And this summer, I'm having lunch with my dad, and I said, Dad, why didn't you ever make that Secretary of Education? Now, my father wasn't an attorney. My father wasn't a career politician. My father was actually a high school football coach that became a state senator and then became governor. But what my father and my wife and I believe is the two most important people next to my wife and I, for our two children, are those educators. So we happen to believe that education should come from the community up, not top down. And 20 years ago, we decided to empower public education department from the top down. Once again, how's that working for us? It's literally driven us to 50th in education. We have now found over $225 million that we feel that goes unwasted. Goes to programs like Park, goes to programs like books that we don't use for out of state. Folks, we send a lot of money out of state. So as governor, we're going to move 8% of that budget back down into the classroom, back into the community. And we've been talking from day one, we have to educate our children from the community up. So that's why we have a plan for family intervention, early child education, preschool for all. But we also have to create pathways for our children because we've cut so many pathways for our kids are not staying engaged in high school. Then we wonder why 66% of our kids or 69% of our kids only graduate. So we're going to move 8% of PED's budget back into our classroom, and we're going to educate and create pathways for our kids 0 to 20. And when we do that, we will rise out of 50th because we have been much higher than that in the past. So go to our website, apo18.com, and take a look at our education plan. You tell me who has a plan for New Mexico.